So I just wanted to take a moment just to recognize everyone who is in the room. We've got several elected officials and just members from our community. So I want to make sure that our students know who came out to support them. And so first and foremost, from our elected officials, we have Councilman Long from City Council here. And we have his wife, Yolanda Long from Upper Bound. We have our Commissioner of the Revenue, Tiffany Boyle. Also representing the city, we have our city attorney, my boss, Bob Hilo. We've got our city clerk, Mabel Washington. Behind me, we have our clerk of the court, Angela Reason. We have our fire chief, Wesley Rogers. Chief of police, Chief Drew. And just some of our community partners that also came out. We've got Troy and Chanel Ketchmore from Ketchmore Kids here today. And I saw Miss Abyss, Latanya Denson from Abu Unity is in the back. She's here. And we've got several people just from the city, and I'm just gonna rattle them off real quick. We got communications, Kim Bracy here. We've got Miss Pamlico, who is from the mayor's office here. We've got our deputy public defender and the president of the Newport News Bar Association, Jessica Crossett. And I think that's everyone, but y'all tell me if I forgot anyone. Who? Let me just take a special moment to recognize all of NNPD. We got Chief Hires, Chief Creswell. And as you guys can see from the PowerPoint that's running, NNPD is one of our primary sponsors for the organization. And so we definitely appreciate everything that they do for us. I also want to recognize all these amazing individuals who are in the box. These are the mentors who are part of this program. Please give them a round of applause. And just one very important rule. So we have decided to put the mentors in the box because historically, once the trial starts, they are not allowed to help the students, but certain individuals have a very difficult time not intervening. Now, I have the utmost respect for all of the members seated in the box, but if you see me asking a deputy to remove them from the court, that would be the reason why. And just procedurally, what we're gonna do today, we have two trials. We'll do the first trial. I want for this to be like Law and Order, 45 minutes to an hour. We'll take a little break, and then we'll come back and do the second trial. We have some awards for our kids, and then we're gonna meet downstairs in the jury room for a reception, have some food, and then we'll head home. So I am going to turn this over to His Honor, Judge Mills.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm going to run this very much like I've run a regular trial. Some things will be slightly abbreviated, so it's not going to be 100% like a regular trial. It's going to be as close as we can do in the Law and Order 45 minutes allotted. Okay. First thing I would do in a trial is I would have the defendant arraigned. So Mr. Banks, would you please stand? The grand jury, sir, in the city of Newport News does charge that Hakeem Banks on or about July the 4th, 2023 did feloniously kill with malice aforethought and with premeditation and deliberation, kill and murder Devin James Simmons in violation of Virginia Code 18-2-32 of the Virginia Code 1950 as amended. How do you plead, sir?
I'm waiting.
And you make this plea after being advised by your attorneys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You may be seated. Commonwealth has the burden of proof, so the Commonwealth will go first. Do you have witnesses today?
Yes.
Okay. Would the Commonwealth's witnesses please stand? Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please swear in the Commonwealth witnesses? I thought you had 3 witnesses.
All of our witnesses to stand.
For trial number 1.
Trial number 1.
Then for trial number 1, there should be 3 witnesses, I thought.
If you're not sure, you can still stand.
Mr. Reason, will you please swear in the witnesses?
Oh.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are prepared to give before this court is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay. And just because I'm a stickler, that doesn't make me leave oath to the day. We know it's not the truth. All right. Commonwealth, call your first witness. Or is there any opening statement? All right. You may present your opening statement.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May it please the court, I am Rachel, and I represent the Commonwealth in the case of Commonwealth of Virginia versus Hakeem Banks. The defendant is charged with first-degree murder for killing Devon Simmons. Seated alongside of me is Leila Malik, and who also represents the prosecution. Young, educated 16-year-old Devon Simmons shot and killed over a compliment. On July 4, 2023, at a cookout at Unshield's apartment, when the victim and the defendant's girlfriend had an altercation. Had an interaction. The victim, Devon Simmons, chose to compliment Latisha Green, the defendant girlfriend, on the dress she wore. A compliment. The defendant, Hakeem, with an accomplice, pulled up slowly at night to the victim's house with their headlights off. The defendant was wearing all red clothing for his gang Getty. The defendant came to the victim's house with the intent to cause harm. The defendant banged on the victim's door and shot him dead. At the end of all this evidence, we ask that you, Your Honor, find the defendant, Hakeem Banks, guilty of murder.
Thank you. Any opening comments from the defense? Yes. You may.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May it please the court, my name is Juan Gomez-Jones. I and my co-counsel Samaya Tate and Sydney Hardy have the honor to represent this young man, Hakeem Banks. On behalf of our client, we want to thank you in advance for the time and attention you will give to this trial. Unfortunately, we are assembled here today for a tragedy that occurred July 4, 2023. On that day, this young man had to make a life or death decision that has changed his life forever. On that day, he wanted to resolve a conflict between his friend and the deceased, a decision no teen his age should have to ever make. Your Honor, you will hear how this man is a standout scholar at Achievers Dream High School and a star football player who has aspirations of continuing his academic and athletic excellence at the collegiate level. You will hear how this young man is engaged in civic organizations that promote peace, unity, and enrichment of the youth in our community. Your Honor, you will hear how this young man learned of a conflict between his friend and a gang member and sought to intervene to bring peace to a situation so there would be no bloodshed. Despite the desires of heart, he was not successful. You will hear how on July 4th, 2023, Devon Simmons did not want to hear about peace. You will hear Devon Simmons did not want to talk man to man to iron out the wrinkles between Devon Simmons and Latisha Green. You will hear that when Hakeem Banks approached Devon Simmons with a palm branch, Devon Simmons met Hakeem with a fist and a gun. Hakeem Banks was forced to make a split decision, live or die. He chose to live and tell you what happened. Your Honor, you will hear from a number of witnesses today. We believe as you assess their credibility, you will find that some have ulterior motives for their testimony. You will hear from a detective who had made up his mind that this young man was guilty before he even spoke to him. The court will see this in the timing of this interview with this young man, which was after he had taken out a petition to arrest him. You will hear how he conducted his interview and gathered evidence to point towards his determination of who was guilty of what crime. You will hear about information he failed to disclose to his supervisor about the manner in which he conducted his investigation. You will hear from a neighbor of the deceased. If the court listens to what he says closely, the court will find he was not able to observe what he reported to the detective. Further, the court will find that his recount of events do not make sense. Lastly, the court will note his report of the events is not given until after he has had an opportunity to confer with others and provide a story that Detective Johnson chose to believe. You will hear from a drug addict, an addict who was depressed on July 4, 2023, an addict who obtained some white china to help her take the edge off, an addict who was in an altered state and not sure what was real or what was the side effect of the white china that helped her take the edge off. You will hear from a teenage female who was friends with my client and was assaulted by the deceased. She will tell you Mr. Banks attempted to get the deceased to apologize, but instead the deceased refused. You will hear from a local pastor who works with youth in this community, a pastor who previously was in the streets but changed his life and is now working diligently to change the lives of the youth in this community through nonviolent means. You will hear from a scholar athlete, a student with a promising collegiate future outside Newport News, a student who works hard to empower other youth in their community, a student who believes everyone should be treated with respect, a student who attempted to mediate a dispute and was placed in a situation where he had to make a life or death decision, a decision thrust upon him by Devon Simmons. When Devon pulled out a gun, Hakeem had to decide whether he wanted to live or die. Your Honor, at the conclusion of the evidence, we are confident that you will find our client acted in self-defense, and you will not permit another tragedy to occur in this courtroom today. Thank you.
Thank you. Commonwealth, your first witness.
I would like to call on Detective Johnson to witness. Can you state your name?
I'm Detective Wayne Johnson,
What department do you work for?
the Newport News Police Department.
How long have you been a detective for?
8 years.
Did something happen on July 4th, 2022 that brings you here today?
Yes, ma'am, I responded to a crime scene in our city.
Did you investigate the death of the victim?
Yes,
What did you find?
I developed a suspect who's seated before the courtroom today.
Can you point to the suspect?
He is seated at the defense table wearing the Argyle sweater vest.
Are you familiar with the street gang Yeti in Newport News?
Yes.
Can you tell me about them?
Yeti, which is an acronym for Why Take Insults, is a street gang that operates out of Newport News.
Did you find the defendant connected to this gang?
Yes, I did.
Were you present when a statement was taken from the defendant?
I did conduct an interview with him on July 7th of last year, yes.
What did Hakeem Banks say about the victim?
He indicated there had been a dispute earlier in the day regarding a female, and when they reconvened at the location to settle this verbal dispute, an altercation occurred, which resulted in the death of Mr. Simmons.
Did you find a gun on the victim as well?
Yes, it did.
Where was the gun found on the victim?
In a holster on his hip.
Was there an autopsy conducted?
Yes, there was.
Do you have the results?
Yes, give me one moment.
Commonwealth, I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit.
Yes, I have a copy of the autopsy that was completed on July 14th of last year.
Can the autopsy report become a part of the record?
Okay. You moving in as Exhibit 1? Any objection?
I have no
No
further
objection.
questions.
Autopsy submitted.
I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Cross-examination.
Good evening. I just have a few questions to ask you.
If you do not understand the question I ask you, please ask me to repeat the question, otherwise I will presume you understood the question, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Detective Johnson, you are the lead investigator for the death of Devon Simmons, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Although you are the lead investigator, you are not an eyewitness to the death of Devon Simmons, correct?
That is correct.
You responded to the crime scene after the shooting, correct?
Yes, I responded on July 4th at 23:16 hours that evening.
While on the scene, you recovered a firearm from the person that belonged to Devon Simmons, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Was the holster on his hip unlatched?
Yes, it was unlatched.
When you interviewed Hakeem Banks, it was you and Detective Webb in the room with Hakeem, correct?
Yes, myself and Detective Webb conducted an interview with Mr. Banks on July 7th of last year, beginning at 03:30 hours in the morning.
In your report, you have a section that is referenced as suspect interview, correct?
I do, yes.
In that section, you indicated that Hakeem Banks originally was not truthful with you, correct?
Are you referring to the transcript?
Yes.
Yes, on the second page of the transcripts, there's an indication that I was seeking the truth from him.
Okay. However, additional prompting, you noted he changed his story and acknowledged he shot Devon Simmons in self-defense, correct?
Yes, he admitted to firing his weapon toward Mr. Simmons to scare him.
Your investigation revealed that Devon Simmons is a documented member of Vista Gangs, a known gang here in Newport News, correct?
That is correct. Mr. Simmons has a prior conviction which linked him with the Vista Kings gang here in our city.
Your investigation did not reveal that Hakeem Banks was documented by Newport News Police Department as being a documented member of any gang, correct?
Banks was affiliated with the Yeti gang, or Yeti squad here in Newport News.
It says reportedly.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect, Commonwealth? Any additional questions from the Commonwealth? Okay. Witness be excused? Yes. You can step down, thank you. Oh, okay.
I would like to call on Demetria Bryan to the witness stand.
Okay. It's good. Here, sir. Watch step. You may proceed, Commonwealth.
Okay. May you please state your name for the record?
My name is Demetria Bryan. They call me Sweet Daddy.
Okay, I did not spell that. Okay. And where do you live?
I live at 1233.
Excuse me, sir, and where do you live?
I live at 1233. I
Okay.
was just to drive up and eat.
Okay.
This stuff.
Was there an event that you witnessed on July 4th, 2023 that brings you into this courtroom today?
July 4th. I will never forget it, man. It was a good day. Wow. But it was a good day. And I just sat in my living room, man. It just so happened my TV faces the window. And all of a sudden I heard just a van full of screeching tires. And I looked out the window, it's a red van, bunch of red stickers. Then all of a sudden I heard a loud voice. And I saw the door open, and this guy get out. He got on a red baseball cap, red shirt, red jeans, red shoes. Clearly he from Suffolk. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what is this fool doing? And all of a sudden, he started knocking on the neighbor's door, and that Miss Jenkins. She been there 30 years. I don't know where, I know and she got a grandbaby, but she been there 30 years. And nothing happened, so I got to look, turn the TV down. I ain't nothing, no nosy. But I do watch Law and Order. And so, I turned it down, and all of a sudden I heard a loud voice. That fool Drizzy. Now they call
Can
him
you
Drizzy.
clarify Drizzy, please?
He live in the neighborhood. They call him Drizzy. I think they need to call him Dizzy, but they call him Drizzy. And all I can hear him saying loudly that I don't care nothing about the Yetis. And then all of a sudden somebody else got out the van. Or the same boy that got out the van, he started coming towards Drizzy, and they got in a fight, and I'm gonna tell you now.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Over there in Argyle. Think that's him. Look close enough.
Okay, continue, please.
And Drizzy, he started beating that boy down. I mean, he was beating him down, man. I mean, he was beating him down. I mean, damn it, he was beating him down. I mean, he was really beating him down. He was really beating him
Can you
down.
stay
I
on
ain't probably
topic,
don't care about the
please?
Yetis, and I don't care nothing about this. And Drizzy kept shouting about Vista on this town, Vista, which is true, but Vista on this town. Next thing I know, another boy got out the van, and they all started jumping. And all of a sudden, Drizzy started backing up. He started backing up. I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden I heard a loud sound, and Drizzy went down on the ground. The boys got like in the van, drove off real quick. I ran, got my phone, and dialed 911. You know, police is slow to come out to Vista, but they got out there though.
Did you see the victim with a gun?
No.
Yeah, no further questions.
Please, I can go.
No? Go on, sir. Cross-examination?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bryant.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing, young man?
Doing good.
Good to see young people in good business. How you doing?
I just have a few questions to ask you.
Yes, sir.
If you do not understand the question I ask you, please ask me to repeat the question.
Oh, damn, stupid.
Otherwise, I will presume you understood the question, okay?
Okay.
All right. Mr. Bryant, you provided a statement to Detective Johnson on July 5th,
I always
2023,
cooperate with
correct?
the police.
All right. Mr. Bryant, Devon Simmons, who is also known as Drizzy, lives in the same apartment complex as you, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Bryant, you know Drizzy, am I correct? Mr. Bryant, Drizzy is known in the community to always start fight with others, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant, you were at home on the evening of July 4th, 2023, correct?
Why you in my business?
Can you please answer the question?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant, you became aware of an incident that occurred on the evening in Aqua Vista, correct?
The one I just described? Yes.
Mr. Bryant, you called the police that evening to report the incident around 11 p.m., correct?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant, it was dark outside around 11 p.m., correct?
Yes.
Prior to July 4th, 2023, some of the lights for the parking lot have been blown out or broken and were not functioning, correct?
That's correct. They don't care nothing about this.
All right.
They'd have been out somewhere in the north side there, Lieutenant Webster's area. I better be fixed by now. They don't care nothing about this.
All right. You're someone like Neighborhood Watch.
Absolutely. And pretty too, as you can tell.
You had contacted the city to have them repaired, correct?
I called the city, they ain't talking to nobody.
All right. Mr. Bryant, it's fair to say you didn't see everything clearly that evening because of the limited lighting, correct?
That's fair, but I know Drizzy. I know that was Drizzy. I know he
Please
got
answer
shot.
the question, sir.
What's the question?
Would like me to ask it again? Okay. Mr. Bryant, it's fair to say you didn't see everything clearly that evening because of the limited lighting, correct?
I saw what I saw.
Your Honor, can you please have the witness to answer the question?
I would like you to answer the question as directly as possible, but quite frankly, counsel, his first answer, he indicated that he could clearly see the seat. I think we should follow up off of that first question, whether or not he could see your client.
Okay. So, you mentioned you wasn't fully sure that it was my client, Hakeem Banks, correct?
I'm positive it was Drizzy. I don't know who Hakeem Banks is.
All right. So did you see him that night?
Yes. Talk like him, yell like him, it was him. He didn't have that all vest on. He in court trying to be all pretty, but he ain't had that on that night.
Okay. You told Detective Johnson that Drizzy didn't have a gun, correct?
I didn't see one, no.
Mr. Bryant, you told Detective Johnson that you could not see Drizzy's hands, correct?
That's correct.
Without being able to see Drizzy's hands, you couldn't say he didn't have a gun, isn't that correct?
That's fair.
The poor lighting and darkness affected your ability to see a lot that night. Isn't that correct?
I mean, I couldn't see everything perfectly, but I saw what I saw. And I saw Drizzy get shot.
Mr. Bryant, you know Drizzy to be a member of the Vista Kings, correct?
True.
Mr. Bryant, your son is also a member of the Vista
Oh,
Kings.
man.
Correct.
Oh, I see where we going with this. My son ain't charged with a crime. Yeah, I heard that fool say he was part, and he was talking about he was a lieutenant. Now in this house, one lieutenant, I know they in the Navy, Marine, Air Force, sometimes in the police department, but I ain't no lieutenant in this household. But I heard he been running around with him, talking about he part of the Vista Kings or whatever that garbage, and the Yetis and the Yakakas. I don't know.
Your son and his fellow gang members want retribution for Drizzy's death, correct?
I don't know what they want.
Mr. Bryant, you are here to help your son and the Vista Kings get what they want, correct?
No. I am here to tell the truth.
Right.
I took an oath, and that's what I'm doing.
Last question. Mr. Bryant, between the time of the incident and 11:30 a.m. July 5th, 2023, you had time to speak with others about the incident, correct?
Sure. So have you.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
I will redirect. Any additional questions? Do you have any additional questions? Okay, free to go.
Thank you.
Who's gonna be your next witness?
May I please call Crystal Chandelier to the court?
Okay, Ms. Chandelier.
Yes.
Come on up.
Here.
You want $10 in there? You have my money.
Proceed, sir.
Good day. Please state your name for the court.
My name is Crystal Chandelier.
And where do you live?
I live with Letitia Green and her mother.
And did you witness something on July 4th, 2023 that brings you to court today?
Yes, sir, I did.
So we know that you
We
struggled.
need to speak up, counsel.
We know that you struggle with an addiction. Will that affect your remembrance today?
No, no, sir.
So how do you feel about the 4th of July?
4th of July is a hard time for me now. You see, my dad used to have a cookout with me and my family, and we would grill out and then we'd have fireworks. But my dad passed away, so the 4th of July is a bad time for me now.
So what did you do on the 4th of July in 2023?
Say it again.
What did you do on the 4th of July in 2023?
On the 4th of July, I was at home at Letitia's house. I was there by myself for a while, and I was feeling really bad, so I walked down to 53rd and Roanoke. You know, I was just gonna get some white china to get the edge off. And then I came back home.
So what happened after you got home?
When I got back home, Letitia came in crying, and when she came in crying, I wanted to go see what was wrong with her. So she told me that she was at Sheila's house, and a guy had flashed a gun at her and called her a stupid trick.
So what happened after that?
Right after that, her boyfriend Spade came over there, and
Spade, do you know Spade's real name?
Spade's real name? He's Hakeem Banks.
Hakeem Banks. And
Yes.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Okay. Can you point to him, please?
he's right there in the white and gray and black.
Okay. Continue, please.
Okay, so, yeah. Hakeem came over there, and me and Letitia and some other guys, we walked over to Miss Sheila's house,
Okay.
because they were still having a cookout over there. And Hakeem Banks got into an argument with a guy known as Drizzy.
Okay. Do
And I
you,
know Drizzy, because Drizzy had on a white tank top, blue hat, and some blue jeans.
okay. Do you know Drizzy? Do you know Drizzy's real name?
Drizzy's full name, his real name is, Devon Simmons.
Devon Simmons. Okay. Continue, please. Continue.
Okay, so they got into an argument, and Hakeem Banks was trying to get Devon Simmons to apologize for disrespecting Letitia.
Okay. Do you remember what was said during the argument?
Well, they had the argument, Simmons refused to apologize, and I heard Spade say, Spade is Hakeem Banks right there. I heard him say, I'll take care of him. He said, I'll take care of him. And then a few minutes later, he walked over to the side, and I was right there, and he made a phone call.
Okay. Do you remember what was said during this phone call?
Hakeem Banks was on the phone, and I heard him say it. He said, he was telling somebody to meet me in Marshall Courts because he had a problem with someone.
Okay. So what happened after this?
After he said that part, I went back to the house. And while I was at the house, I got a call from one of my friends, and she said there was a shooting.
Objection. Hearsay? Objection. Hearsay?
Alamo, response?
Huh?
What's your response to the objection?
I don't really care. Continue.
Order to court.
I'll rephrase the question. When you got home, what happened?
When I got home, I was at the house, and my friend called me and told me,
Objection. Hearsay?
okay, all right.
It's the same. Can't tell us what someone else told you.
So after that, what happened after that?
After that, about 10 minutes later, so Spade came knocking on the door, real hard.
Spade being
Spade, Hakeem Banks right there. He came knocking on the door really hard, and he was asking for a petition. So I opened the door and he wanted Letitia.
Can you point out what he was wearing? What he looked like?
When Hakeem came to the house that day, he had on a red shirt, it said Bad News, but on that shirt was like a lot of blood. His face was swollen on the side, his nose was bloody, his lip was swelling up. He had on the red shirt, and he was really, really nervous, like acting. So he was being kind of frantic, asking for Letitia. And then he said he got what he deserved.
He being, who is he?
Drizzy got what he deserved.
Drizzy got what he deserved, okay. Thank you, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
I just have a few questions to ask you. If you do not understand the question, I ask you, please tell me and I will repeat the question. First question is, Ms. Chandelier, you are a heroin addict, am I correct?
I am in recovery.
A couple months prior to July 4th, 2023, you relapsed and started using again, correct?
I was struggling, yes.
That's not the question I asked.
What's the question again?
A couple months prior to July 4th, you relapsed and started using again, am I correct?
Yes,
On July 4th, 2023, you were having a rough day, correct?
yes,
You went and purchased some white china, or better known as heroin, correct?
yes,
You needed something to help you take the edge off, correct? You took the edge off before you had contact with Letitia and Hakeem the evening of July 4th, correct?
no, I did not.
Ms. Chandelier, did you take anything today to help you take the edge off?
No, I did not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Commonwealth, any additional questions? You should be excused. Step down, thank you. Any additional evidence for the Commonwealth? Any additional witnesses? Commonwealth arrests. Defense, any evidence?
Can I call Letitia Green to the stand?
All right, Ms. Green? Ms. Green, come up here.
Good evening, Ms. Green.
Hi,
Do you know Hakeem Banks?
my man.
How do you know him?
That's my man. My man.
Do you know the deceased, Devon Simmons?
No,
Do you know... Well, turn your attention to July 4th, 2023. Did you see Drizzy on that day? Or Devon Simmons?
yes.
So you do know Devon Simmons.
I know of him, I don't know him personally.
Okay. Where did you see him at?
At Aunt Sheila's 4th of July cookout.
What happened when you saw him?
He put his hands on me.
How did you feel when he grabbed you?
I was mad.
What did you do afterwards?
I called my man.
What did you tell your man or Hakeem Banks?
That boy over at Aunt Sheila's house put his hands on me.
Can I get a name for that boy?
Devon.
Did Hakeem Banks come to Aunt Sheila's house?
Yes, he did, because he's a rider.
What happened when he got there?
He told Drizzy that he needed to apologize for putting his hands on me.
Was Hakeem calm?
Of course he was.
Was Drizzy mad? Or Devon Simmons?
Yes, he was mad.
Do you know Crystal Chandelier?
I know her.
You know her, you've known her for a while, is that correct?
Yeah, but we don't talk no more because she don't pay her rent.
You are aware of her drug habit, correct?
That's why she don't pay her rent.
Did she appear under the influence of narcotics that day?
Crystal stay high.
What does your boyfriend do other than being a part of Yeti Youth Empowerment Training Initiative, or as the people say, Yeti?
Oh yes, the Youth Empowerment Training Initiative. It's a wonderful organization. It helps youth all across the city of Newport News.
Did you know your boyfriend owned a gun?
No, my man don't got no gun.
How much time did you spend with your boyfriend?
All of it. We spend a lot of time together when he's not playing football.
Did you know your boyfriend to be a bad type of guy?
No, ma'am.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Okay, so you're dating the defendant, right?
Real bad.
Okay. Did you have an altercation with the victim, Devon Simmons, on July 4th, 2023?
He put his hands on me.
Okay. Is it true the victim flashed a gun at you during this altercation? Well, this interaction.
Yes, he did.
Would you say you felt threatened and afraid?
Very.
You called your boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
You love your boyfriend, correct?
Real bad.
Is it true that you would do anything to protect your boyfriend?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when your boyfriend, after you called your boyfriend, when he arrived, was it true there was a dislike between Devon Simmons and your boyfriend?
Well, yeah. Hakeem told Devon that he needed to apologize for putting his hands on me and being disrespectful.
Your boyfriend was a part of Yeti, correct?
The Youth Empowerment Training Initiative, yes, it's a great organization. It does
Yeti is the
wonderful
gang, but okay. I was told you know that Drizzy was a part of the Vista Kings, correct?
things. He had a tattoo on his neck. It was like a king. Something.
Your boyfriend and Drizzy are rivals, correct?
Oh, I don't know nothing about that.
Well, no further questions, Your Honor.
Any follow-up from the defendants? You're excused. Who's your next witness? Okay.
I want you to pray for you.
Yes.
I want you to understand. Proceed.
Good afternoon. I just want to ask you a couple questions. That's all.
God bless you.
Good evening. Please state your name and your occupation for the court.
By the grace of God, my name is Pastor Aloysius Brown. I'm the pastor of Stars Church down there on 27th Street. Been down there about 10 years now.
How did you become a pastor?
Well, I'll tell you, I was unable to get into Ohio State University, so I settled for Virginia State University. So I spent some time there, and I went to the School of Divinity where I received my doctorate in 2014.
Pastor Brown, we're
A lot of
not.
prayer helped me get that doctorate, a lot of prayer.
Pastor Brown, nobody's perfect. Before you became a pastor, have you ever gotten into any trouble?
I have. I had some mistakes about 22 years ago. but I turned my life around and it's made a difference. That's why I got into the ministry, to tell you the truth. I'd love to tell you the story, Your Honor. I got into the ministry because of that situation, and it's made all the difference in how I try to make a difference in young people's lives today. Did somebody say amen in the audience?
Can you say why you work with the youth in the community?
So again, it comes back to the mistakes that I made. I want people to learn from their mistakes, not make the same ones that I made, be able to turn their life around. All of us make mistakes, none of us are perfect. And I give back to the youth a little bit in our church, in our community, and that's the interest in me. I want to try to others to learn from mistakes that I made. Youth is the future.
Do you know Hakeem Banks?
I do know Mr. Banks. He's a good young man. I want you to know, I've prayed for him all the way. I know he's playing football all the way to the NFL in the end zone. Proud of that young man.
How did you meet Hakeem?
So I've known him for about 5 or 6 years. Saw him in the church. He's very, very talented, plays the drums, he's active in the church. But I'll tell you, he's quite the football star. And by the grace of God, he's turned his life into focusing on football. I think he's got a great career ahead of him. I'd like to see him go on to college, probably get a scholarship. Praying for that, my friend. You're going to be all right. Keep the faith. So that's how I got to know him, and just the interaction that he's had in the church and then in our youth organization.
Can you say what youth empowerment group he's in?
I can. So that it is the Youth Empowerment and Training Initiative. Can I tell you a little bit about that? I would love to. Can I just share with you a little bit about the work that they do in the community? He is such a good influence on young people. At the food bank or walking in the community. He takes his Saturday afternoons and picks up trash in the neighborhood. Spends time mentoring. He's just an all-around good kid, and I can't be more proud of him.
Okay. I would like to draw your attention to July 4th. On the evening of July 4th, you spoke to Hakeem, correct?
I did.
How did this conversation go?
You know, he cares a lot about people. His girlfriend was offended, and he told me he had some concern, and he was going to go have a conversation with the individual that, you know, we talked about using words, right? And he was going to go have a conversation and work that out, and I encouraged him to do so. Told him to even take a friend with him as a witness.
How did Hakeem respond to this conversation?
How did he respond?
Yes.
So I would tell you, we had a good relationship. He understood. He was not going to be confrontational. He's not a fighter, and there's just not any violence in him. He's a good man, and I think he heeded my words, and I know he went there and had a good conversation.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you about Hakeem's character, and what can you tell me more about him?
So, like I said, I've known him for a while now, and interacting in the church, the stuff that he does in the community. He's very, very talented, excellent with music, he plays the drums. He is an outstanding football star, excellent in football. I think he has a real opportunity, and my hope is he gets into Ohio State, right, to play football there, and just the interaction he has. Now, I haven't seen him around the church as much, because football takes him away, but I make sure I stay in contact with him and encourage him, and he knows I'm praying for him.
Have you ever known Hakeem to be a violent or angry person?
No, not at all. Not violent at all. He is a talker, and I think that that's one of the reasons we bond so much. Is some of the mistakes I've made in the past. He's learned from me, and we're able to share some of that interaction and just be smart, use your words, not violent, none whatsoever.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. Brown, isn't it true that you have previously been convicted of a felony related to guns and drugs?
Well, that was the mistakes I was talking about in years past. And
Can you just answer the question?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I made a mistake.
Do you know the defendant, Hakeem, well?
Hakeem Banks, is that what you said? Yes, my good friend.
And do you know the victim, Devon?
No.
So in your testimony, you mentioned you were a part of a youth empowerment group. Is it affiliated or related to any gangs, like Yeti in the community?
Well, Yeti would be what the initials are, but no, it is a youth empowerment and training initiative. It has nothing to do with any type of violence. We're with the church.
Okay.
If you ever come down there on 27th Street, I'll be glad to.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Vista Kings gang and the Yeti gang beef?
So again, Yeti's not a gang, that's a youth empowerment initiative, we do some training there, this is Vista King, I think that's some young kids in the neighborhood, I don't know too much about them, they might have an argument, kid stuff, but
Okay.
nothing major with that.
Is Hakeem a part of this Yeti gang?
The team is a part of the Youth Empowerment Initiative Training Institute, and if you was come down to the church, I'll be
Okay.
glad, would you like me to tell you any more?
No, thank you. Yeti takes up a lot of Hakeem's time, correct?
It does take a lot of time.
After the incident at the cookout, when Hakeem reached out to you, didn't he seem upset?
He sounded a little elevated, we had a good conversation and everything, but I could just tell from his tone that he had calmed down and was going to go have a conversation.
Didn't he also admit to you to wanting to fight Devon?
He did say that he was upset, had some anger, and we talked about making sure we didn't do anything violent whatsoever. The good book tells us.
Right. And didn't you advise Hakeem to bring a friend to the victim's house?
I did, it's always better, you have someone with you there to keep you calm and that would.
And didn't you also advise him to take you with him?
Well, I talked about going with him, but it was a little late for me. I had to get ready for a sermon this week, it takes time when you pastor a church and we're trying to do the right thing, so I wasn't able to go with him.
And after you advised Hakeem to confront Devon, didn't he end up shooting him?
No, didn't shoot him. Like I said earlier, there's no violence.
Well,
And
were
he
you
would
there?
No, I wasn't there.
So you don't know if Hakeem shot him or
I
not?
can tell you, he would never do that, but I was not there.
So you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, no further questions.
Any reason, any additional questions? No. Thank you, Pastor, you're pretty stuff.
Hope to see you on Sunday.
Any additional evidence?
I like what you call Hakeem Banks.
Mr. Banks?
Good afternoon, young man. Can you state your name for the court?
Hakeem Dante Banks.
How old are you?
I'm 17 now.
Are you in school?
Yes, sir. In Jewel Dream High School.
Okay, what grade are you in?
I'm in my senior year right now.
All right, how are your grades in school?
They're pretty good. I try keeping them up the best I can. I'm a student athlete, so like everybody was saying, I really try prioritizing, keep my grades up so I can continue to do football. So right now, I think last time I checked, my GPA was like a 3.7.
All right, what are your plans after you graduate from high school?
First, I was, of course, planning on attending college, maybe William & Mary or Ohio State, like Pastor Brown said. After college, I was planning, of course, going to the NFL football. It's truly my passion.
So you're quite the scholar, right?
I like to believe so.
All right. Do you participate in any extracurricular activities?
Yes, sir. I participate in the Youth Empowerment Training Initiative, something I do with my church. With that, that's a lot of tutoring. That's a lot of done things in the community, like food drives, for example. We did one of those quite recently. Yeah.
Hakeem, you do know the difference between the truth and a lie, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you come in here and lie to the court?
No, sir.
I want to draw your attention back to July 4th, 2023. Do you recall that day?
It's very hard to forget.
Do you remember talking to Detective Johnson on July 7th about the events that occurred July 4th, 2023?
Yes, sir. It's hard to forget that too.
Were you completely honest with Detective Johnson when you spoke with him that day?
Unfortunately, no.
Why is that?
I was stressed out, nervous after everything that's happened, back on July 4th. So my mind was in really the right state. But having those two detectives interrogate me was a scary experience, to say the least. Especially being a black man in a room like that. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really know what to say. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't know what they was going to do to me, if they was going to convict me, if they was going to arrest me on the spot. It was a lot.
How many police officers were present when you spoke to Detective Johnson?
2, sir.
Did you have a parent present with you?
No, it was just me.
Now, what time did they interview you?
It was 3:30 in the morning.
How did you feel about the detectives? How did you feel how the detectives treated you?
It was like they already had it in their minds that I was a criminal. If they got aggressive with me, trying to get me to admit to this crime, it's like they already painted a picture that I'm this violent person that did this murder against this dude. You know, it was, yeah. My apologies.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's like they already had something in their mind. They already was against me. You know, it was like a lose-lose type situation. I didn't know what to do.
I get that. Okay. Hakeem, can you tell the court what really happened July 4th, 2023?
Yeah, I mean, it all started, at least, when it started going downhill when my girlfriend, Letitia Green, called me about some dude disrespecting her and saying a whole bunch of rude stuff to her for apparently no reason from what I'm hearing. So she's at a cookout, lady's name's Aunt Sheila, went to the cookout, saw the dude, his name's Drizzy. I started trying to have a conversation with him because, of course, he said a whole bunch of distasteful things to her. Like, there's no reason a man should be talking to a woman like that whatsoever. That was completely uncalled for. So I tried to tell him what he did was wrong and he needed to apologize. Because, like I said, no man should be speaking like that. He didn't want to apologize. Instead, he decided what he was going to do was continue to get aggressive. He didn't want to do any type of conversations. It seemed to me like he was just trying to fight. Apparently to do brandless stuff.
Speculation. Seemed like one to fight. Response. Sit down for a minute.
Not for the truth of the matter. For the matter of
His objection wasn't hearsay, it was speculation. Sustained.
Do I need to rewrite it?
Let me rephrase the question. Can you tell the court what happened after you received a phone call from Letitia?
Yeah, like I was saying, he was basically being aggressive verbally, trying to like get up all in my face and all that, I said, I'm not about to fight this dude, especially here, I'm not about to cause any further altercation, so, I tried to walk him away. Then he yelled out his address and all that stuff, so then I had an idea right then and there, maybe after all this is over, maybe now I can go over there, maybe later, and talk to him then when he cools down, so. Yeah, that's the idea I had in my head. So, but I already knew the dude was dangerous from all the things I heard about them, like Fist of Kings affiliations and all that stuff.
Excuse me. That's wrong. Hearsay. That's hearsay. You heard about these things.
Inadmissible character evidence, sustained.
So, yeah, baseline, I knew the dude was dangerous. He had a firearm with him and all that stuff. The dude was dangerous. So, of course, I didn't want to go to his place knowing that he could be a potential threat to me. So I talked to my pastor, got his sense on it. He said I should follow through. So I got to call one of my homeboys up, so I could have a nice little ride and a witness and see how I tried to handle this type of situation. And then I went over there. I'm not proud of the decision, but I decided to bring a firearm with me. I wanted to keep myself safe, in case he tried to put my life in danger. I could have something keep him cool, so it can be on the both at the same playing field.
Now, why did you take a gun to Devon's house?
I wanted to feel safe. I thought he was dangerous. I can't say what, but yeah, baseline, I thought he was dangerous.
Did you know that he had a firearm with him?
Yes, I do.
All right. What happened next?
I got to his crib, I knocked on the door, and then the second he started opening the door, he automatically started coming at me aggressive for no reason. I didn't even get to really speak to him like that. First, he just already started swinging and all that stuff, like just punching me the second he opened up the door, like it was on site with him apparently. I didn't know that. So he starts swinging, he starts beating me down. He starts beating me down, and he throws me on the floor violently. I tried backing up. I tried to de-escalate the situation. I tried getting away from him because, I'm not about to fight this dude. Same mindset I had earlier, nothing changed. But no, he wanted to keep on fighting apparently. I didn't know that what we was doing, but he starts punching me, hitting me. I was gonna die. I really didn't know what to do in that type of situation. That was the first time I ever experienced something like that. Yeah, he kept on hitting me. Then after he got up off me, then he took a gun out, he pointed it towards me, and after my life flashed before my eyes. Y'all might think that's an exaggeration or whatever, but no, it truly does. After my life flashed before my eyes, I really thought in that instance I was gonna be gone. I wasn't gonna see Letitia again, I wasn't gonna see my sister again, I wasn't gonna see my family again, I wasn't gonna see anybody again, no. And I thought that was about to be the end of me, no football, no nothing, but no. I thought in that instance that was my last moment, and in my last moment I decided to live. No, I don't want to die here. So I'm not proud of this, but I decided to grab the firearm that I had. I didn't want to die, so self-defense rights, I grabbed the firearm that I had. It was supposed to be a warning shot at first. I wasn't really trying to really harm the dude like that. I just wanted him to get away from me. I wanted to get out of the situation, unscathed, but then, he put out, I put out my weapon and shot. Apparently the shot connected, the dude went down. I tried leaving, and, yeah.
Hakeem, is there anything else you want the judge to know?
I didn't mean all this to happen for real. I just wanted everything to go back how it used to, I just wanted to continue my path to football, but then I can't, this might screw that up or whatever. I didn't want the dude to die, I don't really know him for real, but I know he's a human being. He didn't deserve to die. Nobody really deserves a death like that. So yeah, I do apologize for any trouble that I caused. I apologize to his family, and I truly apologize. I'm sorry to anybody involved.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Isn't it true your girlfriend is Letitia Green?
Yes.
Is she in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point to her?
Right over here. In the red.
So can you recall July 4th, 2023?
Okay. She called me.
It's a yes or no. Are you able to
repeat the question?
Are you able to recall it for today?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Was there a time you got a call from your girlfriend, Letitia Green?
Yes, sir.
And what was said during this call?
That a dude named Drizzy was being disrespectful, showed a firearm to her, and it was being all around a not nice dude. She wanted me to come down there and help her.
And how did that make you feel?
I was confused. That came completely out of nowhere.
Thank you. So you went to Sheila's party, correct?
Yes, I did.
Isn't it true you argued with Devon Simmons because he wouldn't apologize?
Sure.
It's a yes or no?
I wouldn't call it argue, so no.
Okay, thank you. Isn't it true you threatened Devon during the argument, saying you're gonna take care of him?
No, I do not recall that. And I recall every single event that happened that day.
It's a yes or no? Isn't it true after the party, you called your friend?
Yes, sir.
What was the call about?
I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to witness.
Actually, no. To answer that question. Okay. Okay. Isn't it true that you called Pastor Brown saying that you wanted to fight Devon?
No, I didn't call him.
Okay. Isn't it true you went to Devon's house?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true you brought a firearm with you?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that you fought Devon?
I would say Devon fought me, but yes.
So it's yes, thank you. Isn't it true you shot Devon during this fight?
Yeah.
I know you stated that it was all flashing before your eyes, and you just wanted to fire off a warning shot or whatever. But how did you end up aiming for his chest if it was just a warning shot? It was flashing in your eyes.
I don't know. I just shot.
You
It's
don't know?
supposed to be.
Okay, thank you. Isn't it true you went to Letitia's house after the party? Not the party, the fight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Isn't it true you told Crystal Chandelier that Drizzy got what he deserved?
No, sir.
Let's bring up your prior convictions. Isn't it true that you have prior juvenile convictions for a concealed weapon?
Yeah, that's how Pastor Brown got
Okay,
me
it's a yes or
today.
no?
Yes.
Just a yes or no, please. Thank you.
Objection, relevance.
What did I say?
This prior conviction have any relevance? Not a crime of moral turpitude.
Of a concealed weapon.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that you have prior juvenile convictions of assault and battery?
Objection, relevance.
Prior criminal record is not admissible for impeachment purposes unless it's a felony or a crime involving moral turpitude.
Okay.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that in your testimony, you stated that he pulled out a gun, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
You have further questions? Can you follow up? Proceed with your orders. Any additional evidence for the defense? No, Your Honor. Defense rests. Closing arguments? Defense?
May it please the court, Your Honor. My name is Ms. Tate, and I first want to say, look at the ring on your finger and just keep that in mind. But on the night of July 4th, there is no dispute that a tragedy occurred on that day. A life was lost, and my client Hakeem found himself in an impossible position, having to defend himself from Devon Simmons. Hakeem was 17 years old, respectable member of the church and this community. Attempted to make peace with Devon, but as my co-counsel stated earlier, Devon met Hakeem with a fist and a gun, forcing Hakeem to make that split-second decision to protect himself, to live to see another day, and to tell you what happened on July 4th, 2023. Now I understand you've heard a lot of evidence throughout this trial, specifically from the Commonwealth, which does not accurately reflect the events that transpired on July 4th. You've heard from the neighbor with an obstructed view of what happened between Devon and Hakeem, a drug addict.
Counsel? I didn't hear any obstruction. I heard the lights were dim, but he said he could see everything.
You've heard from a drug addict who admitted to using drugs. A drug addict who admitted to using drugs on that day. She gave a statement to the detective. And finally, a detective who had tunnel vision throughout the investigation. The Commonwealth has the burden to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Devon's death was maliciously caused by Hakeem. The Commonwealth has not met that burden. The fact that isn't in dispute is Hakeem went to Devon's apartment because Devon told Hakeem to come. You also heard from the Commonwealth's witnesses, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Bryant, he told you that when Hakeem got to Drizzy's door, Hakeem started stepping back, just like Hakeem told you he did. Mr. Bryant also told you that Drizzy was hitting Hakeem over and over and over again. Mr. Bryant acknowledged he could see Drizzy's hand. He couldn't see Drizzy's hand, but Hakeem did. And he told you Drizzy pointed a gun at him. And just like Hakeem told you, Mr. Bryant said he only fired one shot. Hakeem, a member of the church and leader among the youth, to be positive impact in the community. You heard from Pastor Brown, who knew Hakeem from court, and he told you Hakeem is a young man who created a community initiative and encouraged other youth to be the best version of themselves. Hakeem's state of mind was of peace, and we know this because Pastor Brown told you Hakeem wanted to talk to Drizzy, so things wouldn't end in violence. Now, Drizzy had the tendency to be violent, and just like Hakeem told you, Devon was the aggressor. On July 4th, and all the aggression was taken out on Hakeem when he showed up to the apartment. Devon, aka Drizzy, wanted to send a deadly message to Hakeem. We know Drizzy was a violent person because Letitia told you he grabbed on her just because she didn't want to talk to him. Also, that Drizzy had a gun at the cookout. Mr. Bryant, the Commonwealth's witness, told you Devon always started fights, and just like Hakeem told you, Drizzy stated the physical altercation. Again, the Commonwealth has the burden to prove of reasonable doubt that Devon's death was maliciously caused by Hakeem. But the evidence is inconsistent. With the narrative, only Hakeem and Devon was there at that moment. And Hakeem told you what happened and how scared he was when Devon pulled a gun out on him. Not only did he tell you what happened, but he also told Detective Johnson what happened the next day. He was cooperative, and he told the detective he fired one shot to stop Devon from shooting him. You've heard a lot of evidence today, and the evidence showed you that Devon did have a firearm. This only validates what Hakeem told you and the detective, that he was scared for his life and he had no choice but to defend himself from deadly harm. We know Hakeem was telling the truth about what happened because the physical evidence showed you this. A gun was found at the scene, showing you that Devon did in fact have a weapon. Don't get distracted by the fact that Mr. Bryant didn't see Drizzy with a gun because we know he had one. Don't get distracted by Mr. Bryant's account because he was only able to give you an incomplete version of what occurred. He just wasn't in a position to see everything, but Hakeem was able to fill in those blanks. The law states if you believe Hakeem reasonably feared, under the circumstances that appeared to him, that he was in danger of being killed or great bodily harm, and he used reasonable amount of force, then you must find Hakeem not guilty. Hakeem's actions afterwards was inconsistent with someone who wanted to maliciously kill someone. In fact, the evidence shows the opposite, which is Hakeem wanted peace and Drizzy didn't. Drizzy was aggressive, and he was the aggressor on July 4th. Hakeem was in an impossible position, and he had to make a split-second decision to protect himself from death or serious bodily harm. After hearing all this evidence, we ask that you find Hakeem not guilty.
Keep saying that. May it please the court, we the common. May it please the court, we the Commonwealth have proven beyond reasonable doubt that the defendant, Hakeem Banks, murdered Devon Simmons by shooting him with a gun. The killing was malicious, willful, deliberate, and premeditated. We have proven the following. Devon Simmons, he was a 16-year-old child. He was a student, a friend, and a son. And in spite of his past, he was turning his life around. But that all changed on the 4th of July. On the 4th of July, when he was shot and killed by Devon Simmons. On the 4th of July, Hakeem received a call from his girlfriend, Letitia Green, who was crying, upset by her encounter with Devon Simmons at Sheila's party. Hakeem then went to the party and threatened to take care of Devon after Devon refused to apologize to Letitia. Hakeem then said that he had a problem with someone and needed a friend to meet with him at Marshall Courts. Hakeem went to Devon's house with a firearm, banged on the door, on Devon's door, briefly exchanged words with him, and then fought Devon. During this fight, Hakeem pulled out his firearm and shot Devon in his chest, killing him. His sister Keisha ran out and stayed with him for his final breaths. You heard in his testimony, in everyone's testimony, you have heard incomplete answers and not fully answered questions. It was self-defense. He put out a gun, but his gun was in his holster. He shot to scare him. His life would flash before his eyes, but he shot him in the chest, killing him. How? There was much hesitation to answer. He also heard things about Drizzy, but not knowing these things. He said that, sorry. Anyways, in this court, you have heard not only the unfortunate death of Devon Simmons, but Hakeem's intent behind it, revenge. Hakeem's inability to control his temper and anger from disrespect led him to take the life of Devon Simmons. This is a case of clear murder. Based upon all the evidence that the Commonwealth has presented, we ask you the honor to find Hakeem Banks guilty of murder in the first degree for shooting and killing Devon Simmons. Thank you.
Mr. Banks, would you please rise? After hearing all the evidence today, this is not a case of self-defense. The gun was clearly not pulled. Dead men do not reholster firearms. I find that you're guilty.
Can we give our trial attorneys a round of I just want to recognize the volunteers who played the roles in this case. We've got Detective Nightingale from NMPD. He's right here. We've got Michael Coker with the afro from the Department of Criminal Justice Services. Lieutenant Allen from...
They're appealing.
All right, Letitia Green, Shantina Garris from Coast Supply. Chief Drew, Pastor Brown. And Shivani Jackson. There she is.